If you were to work full blast for the rest of your life, if you were to use every single device you could possibly think of to expand your capabilities, you would never come within shouting distance of your ability to use your full potential as a human being. One of the turning points in my life was when I learned many years ago that each of us has extraordinary potential that we habitually fail to utilize. It is like reserve potential. We're saving it up for something. But the good news is that you can get far, far more out of yourself in terms of results, performance, satisfaction, rewards than you ever have before by learning how other people have done it before you. In this session, we're going to talk about leveraging your potential, and I want to give you some ideas that are used by the highest performing, most successful people in our society today. And the first one of them is speed. Speed is so important today. Speed means that you have to develop a sense of urgency. You have to take action, get going, get on with it, move fast. What we know today is that fast tempo is the key to success, that people want everything done quickly, and people equate speed with value. Have you ever had an experience where you've called up someone from the Yellow Pages or newspapers to ask them to do something? They say, well, we can't get to it until next week. Can you wait? You say, no. You hang up and you call someone else and you say, can you do it? And they say, yes, right away. And bang, they become your supplier and you never go back to that other company. One of the most important things you say when anybody asks you for anything is, sure, right away. Sure, right away. People love to know that you have the sense of urgency that they have. So always be looking for ways to move ahead faster, move ahead cheaper, move ahead easier. Look for ways to do it quicker for yourself and for other people. The faster you are, the faster you move, the more energy you have. The faster you move, the more you learn, the more ground you cover. The faster you move, the more valuable you are to others, and actually the higher is your own self-esteem and personal energy. Use technology to increase your effectiveness. Think of technology like computers and databases and World Wide Webs and things like that. Not as technology per se, because many of us are not technical people, but think of them as time savers and recognize that every single piece of technology was developed to cut down the amount of time that it takes to achieve a particular goal. When they invented the first computer chip, it had 300,000 MIPS, or million instructions per second, 0.3 MIPS. The most recent Pentium computer has 100 million instructions per second. It's so fast, and yet the Sony PlayStation, which many of our children have, already has 1 billion instructions per second working in the PlayStation. And everything is to make the result faster. How can you use technology? How can you use computers, laptops, cellular telephones, databases, in order to get the information you need and to do the job faster than you could before? Think of technology as a friend rather than as a threat. Time is the currency of the 90s. Today, everyone wants to know when they see something new is, how long does it take? How fast can I get it? Time is the driving force, and the minimization, reduction of time is the driving force in all advances in technology and business today. So always be thinking and designating everything in terms of time, time, time. How can I do it faster? How can you do it better? How can you do it quicker? How can you save time for yourself and others? Another key way to leverage your potential is what is called compression. That's where you condense several jobs or tasks into a single job. For example, I saw an example of this in myself just the other day. I went to the store and got some groceries. I came in, I left them in my car for the moment. And then when I went back out, I got them from my car and I brought them into the kitchen and put them on the counter. Then I went to check the mail and I came back and took the groceries out of the bag on the counter, threw the bag away. Then I put some of the groceries away in the closet, the pantry, some in the refrigerator, and left some others out there because I wasn't sure where they went. Then finally I came back and I put them away. What I did was I increased the amount of time it would take to unpack the groceries by as much as 500%. as opposed to what is called working in real time. Real time is where you condense several jobs and tasks into one task, and you do it immediately and you do it all at once. You pick up the groceries, come home, take them out, unpack them, put them away, put the bag away. It's absolutely astonishing how much time you'll save when you start condensing all of your tasks and doing them all at once. Read books, listen to audio cassettes, take courses. Each of these represent condensed time, condensed money, condensed life. Many people don't understand today that continuous learning is one of the fastest ways for you to rise to the top of your field. Is that continuous learning with books, tapes, and courses represents sometimes hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars of somebody else's life and time that has been compressed and put into a form that you can have it. You know, it's very often that a person will spend 20 or 30 years with hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars worth of experience learning the most important lessons possible in their field, and then they'll spend 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years writing it down or put it into a form that you can get for a few dollars. And people say, I can't afford to buy that book or those tapes. Are you kidding? That book or tape, one paragraph, one line, might save you years of hard work. The most successful people in our society are the ones who are learning from every possible source all the time. Another key way to leverage your potential is to practice single handling. Single handling means that you take a single task or a large task and you begin on that task and you stay with it until it's done. You develop what is called an urge or compulsion to closure, an urge to completion. Instead of doing it and putting it down and picking it up and starting it and working on it and putting it down, you push yourself. And sometimes you may have to push yourself for hours, but whenever you finish an important task, you get a surge of energy. Your self-esteem goes up. You feel powerful and strong, and you want to do other big things. Single handling is one of the most powerful time management, potential leveraging techniques that's ever been developed. And what it means is, once you start, don't stop until it's done. Concentration, I have to admit, is my favorite leveraging technique. It's similar to single handling, but what it means is that you use the 80-20 rule. You determine what are the 20% of things that you do that account for 80% of your results, and then you focus on those few tasks that represent the highest value of all. You see, it is the concentration on higher value tasks that makes all the determination in terms of your success or failure. You can take people, by the way, from the most successful in society to the lowest, and you'll find that the people who are the most successful spend more time doing high-value tasks. The people who are the least successful spend more time doing low-value tasks. And there's a crowding out principle that takes place. If you spend all of your time on low-value tasks, you don't have any time left for higher-value tasks. So you can choose which one it's going to be, and either one determines your future. Here's my favorite question in leveraging your potential. What can you, and only you, do, which if done well, will make a real difference? What is the one thing that you and only you can do? If you don't do it, it doesn't get done. But if you do it, it can make an extraordinary difference to your company, your department, your customers, your life, whatever. And the answer to this question, at any given time, is only one thing. There's only one thing that at any given moment you and only you can do, and if you do it really well, it'll really make a difference. What is it? What is it for you at this moment? What is it for you in general? What is the one place where you can really make an impact? Asking and answering that question is the key to leveraging your potential and high performance. Here's a great question. Why exactly are you on the payroll? If your son or daughter were to say, Mommy, Daddy, why did they give you money where you work? How would you answer? Could you write on the back of your business card exactly why you are entitled to the money that you get and the money that you want? If you were to go to your boss and your boss were to say, we're going to be eliminating your job, but you can reapply for your job as an independent contractor. However, we want a proposal from you where you lay out what you will do and what it's worth and how much you'll charge for it and what standard of quality and when you'll deliver it and so on. And we'll take a look at your proposal and we'll decide whether or not we can justify spending the kind of money that we're paying you now to doing the job as you explain it. Why are you on the payroll? And when you have staff, by the way, the kindest thing that you can do is to sit them down and help them answer the question, why are they on the payroll? Why do we give them money? What contribution do they make to our top line that enables us to pay them money on a daily basis? Everybody must know the answer to this. Re-engineering is another powerful way of leveraging your potential, and re-engineering, in its simplest terms, involves analyzing every step of what you do now in your work, and then looking at what you can simplify, eliminate, outsource, get rid of completely. In re-engineering, you recognize that an awful lot of steps slip into a process over time. Your job is to eliminate the steps, consolidate them, compress them, outsource them, do whatever it takes to shorten the amount of time and the number of steps that it takes to get a particular result. How could you re-engineer your job? How could you re-engineer your department? How could you re-engineer your company? How could you re-engineer your entire life? Re-engineering is something that has now started, like quality management, and will go on forever, like breathing in and breathing out in management, always looking for ways to reduce the steps to get the result. What can you consolidate in your work? What can you expand so it takes in other parts of the job? What can you combine with other tasks so that it can be done faster and quicker? These are key thinking tools, and asking and answering these questions enables you to use far more of your innate ability. Restructuring is a very popular term today, and in personal restructuring, this is the result of personal strategic planning. It's sitting down, stepping back, looking at your life, your work, your goals, and then setting better priorities on your key tasks. What is a priority? Well, a priority is something that you do more of and sooner. So the next thing you have to do is set clear posteriorities on your tasks and on obsolete activities. What is a posteriority? Well, a posteriority is something that you do less of and later, if at all. And here's the key. You can only start something new by stopping something old. Why? Because your calendar is full. As we say, your dance card is full. Most managers today are working at anything from 110% to 130% of their capacity. You have too much to do and you have too little time. Your calendar, your to-do list is swamped. Before you do something new, you have to stop something old. So what we say is this: getting in means getting out. Picking up means putting down. Starting something new means stopping something old. And one of the most powerful personal performance techniques I've ever found is for you to decide what you're going to get out of altogether so that you have more time to do the things that only you can do that can make a real difference. What are they? You've heard of procrastination. Well, the things that you procrastinate on are things that should be posteriorities, things that are of low-level priority that contribute very little to your job or to your work, so that you can concentrate on the priorities that make all the difference. Here's a key technique, is whenever you have a key threat, problem, goal, swarm all over it. Focus on it single-mindedly. Put your whole heart into it. Whenever you have an opportunity or possibility, a problem or an obstacle, swarm all over it. There is nothing more powerful than the sustained concentration of your mind and your intelligence and your ability to realize an opportunity, to achieve a goal or to solve a problem. But if you pick away at it, it can take you weeks and months and years to finally resolve it. Here's something else for you: reinventing. The rule is you should be looking at reinventing yourself, your job, your future on a regular basis. Some people say you should reinvent yourself every 6 months. And what that means is that you pull back and you look at yourself and your life and you say, where am I going? What do I want to do? What do I love doing? Where can I make the greatest contribution? Imagine that your entire world collapsed. Or imagine that you moved right across the country and your business or industry, as it exists today, wasn't there, and you had to reinvent yourself for the future. What things would you do differently? What things would you do better? What things would you discontinue? What things would you emphasize? Reinventing yourself is a wonderful exercise. And here's how. Remember that knowledge and skill requirements in your field are doubling every 3 to 5 years. Let me explain why this is. It is because the amount of published information and knowledge in your field and in every field is doubling every 3 to 5 years. When I began speaking some years ago, I used to say, you know, knowledge is doubling every 10 years. And then it was knowledge is doubling every 7 or 8 years. And then knowledge is doubling every 5 or 6 years. And then knowledge is doubling every 3 to 5 years. And by next year and the year after, it'll be every 2 to 3 years, every 1 to 2 years. By the 21st century, knowledge will be doubling every year. This means that, imagine this, you could take all the knowledge ever gathered in the history of the world and put it in a pile as large as a huge, huge office building, 30, 40, 50 stories high, maybe several office buildings, and put it in a pile, and 1 to 2 years later, next to it, there would be another pile of equal height with the new information that has been generated in the next 1 or 2 years. What does it mean? It means that your knowledge has to grow at a very rapid rate. It has to start doubling every 2 to 3, every 3 to 4, every 4 to 5 years, just for you to stay even. Remember, if all you do is keep up, you stay even, but you don't make any progress. So ask this. What do you have to learn? What do you have to practice? What do you have to master to lead your field in 3 to 5 years? What do you have to be really, really good at in order to earn the kind of living you want to earn and live the kind of life you want to live? There's an old saying, those who do not plan for the future cannot have one. And one of the most important plans you make is to determine what you are going to be absolutely excellent at doing sometime in the future so that you can enjoy the kind of life you want to live sometime in the future. Another key way to leverage your potential is to reorganize your life. Look for ways to continually increase your return on energy, the amount that you get out of yourself. For example, you can minimize the things that you do through delegation and outsourcing. You can get rid of little things that take up a lot of time so you have more time to do the few things that really make a difference. You can maximize your productivity by using computers and databases. Remember, knowledge is power. Knowledge is value. The more knowledge and skill you have or have access to, the more valuable you are. Expansion. You can increase your ability to achieve by expanding your capabilities, by expanding your knowledge, by expanding your skills, by learning complementary skills that enable you to use more of your other abilities effectively. For example, you could learn how to speak on your feet, so you could use all of your other talents and abilities to persuade and influence more people. You could become highly computer literate so that you could access databases. You could learn a foreign language so that you could be a representative of your company overseas. The law of requisite variety is another form of leverage. It says this. It says that the most complex organism in any group of organisms eventually rises to the top of that group of organisms. The person who knows the most in any group of people will eventually rise to the top of that group of people. The final principle is the principle of integrative intelligence, which says that the person who can integrate the greatest number of pieces of information together at the same time and then determine a course of action based on them will eventually supersede all others. The principle of integrative intelligence says the more knowledge and more skill that you have, that you can bring to bear on your work, the more successful you will be. The key to your future, the key to leveraging your potential, is your knowledge base. The greater your number of knowledge and skills, and the greater your capability to focus them on getting results for your company and for other people, the more successful you will be, the more successful you must be. The key to re-engineering your life and your work is very simple. In fact, it's a skill that you can develop like typing with a typewriter that you can begin to use in everything you do. And here it is. Take any process in your life that seems to take a lot of time and has a lot of steps. Take the process and make a list of every single step, no matter how small, that it takes to get from the very beginning to the very end of the process, to get the result. Then take a look at each of those steps and make a decision that you're going to eliminate 30% of those steps the first time through the list. And how do you eliminate? Well, you say, okay, are there any of these steps that are no longer necessary? Second, are there any of these steps that are really similar and can be consolidated into a single step so that a single person can do it rather than perhaps two? Are there any of these steps that can be outsourced to another company or even individual who can do it far faster and better? Many companies are looking at the fact that their customers pay them for certain goods and services, but their customers don't pay them for an enormous number of things that they do. Here's an example. In my company, which is not that large, we have an outside company that prepares all of our paychecks. Why? It's because our customers don't pay us for preparing paychecks. And another company that specializes in preparing paychecks, surprise, surprise, because they do it 40 hours a week and for hundreds and thousands of companies, they can do it faster and cheaper than we can even do it inside. So think, how can you re-engineer by consolidating, compressing, eliminating, outsourcing, and downsizing tasks so that there are far fewer steps? With regard to restructuring your life, which is another part, is in restructuring what you do is you look at everything that you do and you ask, what are the things that I do that contribute the most value to my life? And then you say, how can I organize my life so I do more of the things that are more important to more people and fewer of the things that aren't important at all? Let me give you a quick story. A major insurance company found that when their agents wrote a life insurance application and sent it into the head office, it took 6 weeks to get it back. Meanwhile, the person might have changed their mind. The agents were very unhappy because they couldn't get paid until the policy had been approved and paid for. And so they brought in some specialists who looked at the process from the time the agent filled in the application to the time they sent it in and it got approved and back. They found that it took approximately 6 weeks. There were 24 steps that took place, but the entire amount of time spent on the policy was only 17 minutes. Somebody checked it, passed it on. Somebody put it in a stack, moved it over. Somebody sent it upstairs, downstairs, over, upstairs, 17 minutes. So they revamped the entire process. They took 23 of the 24 steps and compressed them into one person. The application came in, one person went through every detail. And then one second person checked the details. Within a couple of months, they were able to turn around an application within 24 hours. And their underwriting business soared through the roof. In story after story, we find that an enormous number of wasted, inefficient tasks and activities creep into everything, and it slows down the whole process like sludge in the bottom of an engine. In order for you to work most effectively, one of the most important things you do is setting priorities and setting posteriorities. You have to ask people around you, is there anything that I do that takes up time that I could discontinue? Ask your spouse, is there anything that you do that takes up a lot of time? Well, you go to the store and buy one thing and then you come back. Then you go to the store and get another thing and you come back. Why not do all of your shopping at once? Why not do all of your letters at once? Why not do all of your exercise at once? Why don't you start bunching and consolidating your tasks so you can do more and more of them in a shorter period of time? Your primary job in life has to be to get the very most out of yourself. As Abraham Maslow said, the purpose of human life is to become everything you are capable of becoming. And you do that by spending more and more of your time doing the things that make more and more of a difference to your life and work, and doing them faster, quicker, easier, better, and more efficiently. And if you get into a habit of doing that, you'll be absolutely astonished at how much more you'll accomplish, how much more relaxed you'll be, how much more respected you'll be, how much higher you'll be paid, how much more recognition you'll get, and how much more valuable of a contribution you can make to your organization. but it all begins with you and your decision to do things differently.